Schedule prediction season is on and popping. Let's go down to Eugene, Oregon and talk about the Ducks and what we expect from them from a wins-loss perspective in 2023. Got to take a look at how this thing is built, though, at Oregon. And if you're an Oregon Duck fan, you're excited about the 23 season because your quarterback, Bo Nix, is coming back. He said, one more time, Turbo, let's run that back. And there's a new OC in town now. Will Stein's going to be calling the plays for you, so there's a little bit of a difference there for what Bo Nix is walking into in 23. But even so, man, you got your quarterback, which is the most important piece. You got Bucky Irving, a 1,000-yard rusher, back, and I would expect to have another big year, quite frankly, in the Pac-12. And you took 15 transfers through the portal. So when I break it all down for Oregon, if I were to distill it, I would say it's going to be a tough and talented team. And the good news for Oregon fans, toughness and talent, both those things typically travel pretty well. More thoughts on that in a second. Oregon Duck fans now, make sure you're locked in right here. We talk college football every single day. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. We're kind of psychos for this sport, just a little bit. And if you're watching a college football YouTube video in June, like, let's face it, you're kind of a psycho for this deal too. So make sure you're locked in here. Follow me on the gram and on Twitter at JD Piquel. Thank you in advance for that. All right, moving right along here. So tough and talented team at Oregon. You probably already knew that. You feel good about the roster. Here's my concern, though. Here's the issue that I could have with Oregon. Oregon's built like a speedboat, but that secondary, man, last year allowed 270 pass yards a game. Can't do that. You can't have a speedboat and then spring a leak every now and then because your secondary can't hold it down. Because in the Pac-12 conference, you're going to play too many good quarterbacks. I mean, look at this. You got Cam Ward. You got Michael Penix Jr. You got Caleb Williams. You're going to play Cam Rising, likely, at Utah, hoping he stays healthy. Like, you hear what I'm saying? You can't be built with a weak jaw and walk into a boxing match week in and week out with someone who's got a strong right hook, who's got a good quarterback. You hear what I'm saying? So that's my concern. They're going to be tough. They're going to be talented, but is the secondary able to hold up their end of the bargain? I think you went through the portal in hopes of addressing that across your defense, but that's the one concern I have for them if I were to pick out an issue within Oregon. So let's take a look at the schedule here. They have a game at Texas Tech early. You play USC, you're at Utah, you're Washington State at home, you're at Washington. So you're kind of, again, that's not in order, obviously. You see it on your screen right here. But what I'm trying to say is it's still going to be a bit of a gauntlet for Oregon. But I believe if Bo Nix is who we were told he was a season ago, based on what Bo Nix told us with his play last year, he's able to be as productive, and this defense continues to take on Dan Lanning's persona, because Dan Lanning's a defensive guy now, don't forget it. If they do those two things, I think Oregon's going to be in a really competitive spot to win the Pac-12. I think the ceiling is somewhere around 11-1. The floor to me is, I guess if everything fell apart, you would probably say 8 wins. I think 9 wins is more like the floor. I'm going to go ahead and pick Oregon to go 10-2 in 2023. So for Oregon, it's all in front of them, in my opinion. The Pac-12 is very winnable. I mean, Caleb Williams and USC are going to have something to say about it. Utah and Cam Rising, they're a known commodity, but I think with what they've built and having the star power at quarterback and having the proven commodities that they have across this roster, if those transfers mesh and that defense improves, like, they're going to be able to do some really exciting things in the postseason here. So that's what 2023 holds. I also want to make sure I say this. We had Dan Lanning on this very show. So if you haven't yet seen that interview, finish this video and go check that out. But long term, man, like, I am buying stock in Oregon. I'm buying stock in Oregon for a few reasons. The first of which being, they're going to recruit. How do I know they're going to recruit? Because Dan Lanning, in a very short period of time, has proven he's going to recruit. And he doesn't care where he does it. He'll go anywhere to recruit. California, Maryland, Southeast, doesn't matter. He will recruit nationally. Oregon had a top 10 class in 2023. Okay, so Dan Lanning has proven recruiting is a priority. That's a priority and a prerequisite to winning big-time football games. And big-time football games, I'm talking like New Year's Six Bowls. I'm talking college football playoff. Like, that's the kind of players, that's the kind of talent level Oregon is continuing to move towards with Dan Lanning as the head coach. So you got a head coach who can recruit, who will recruit, like, hey, I'm bought in. Doesn't hurt now that Oregon has the resources, the brand power that's going to bolster that even forward. I go back to Dan Lanning now. His persona to me is just tough. Tough, gritty, blue collar, hard hat and lunch pail. Let's go get it. Let's go get what we're supposed to get. Let's go earn our keep. And I'll say this, rosters, teams as a whole, they take on the persona of their head coach. So you're going to recruit well, you're going to be talented long term. You're going to take on the persona of your head coach, which is tough. Like I said at the top of this thing, you can take that style of play anywhere in the country. You can go play in the Big Ten. They're working to match up with the teams like Georgia long term. I don't know if they're there right now, but they're working towards that. The college football playoff, when it expands now, that is going to bless the good people in Eugene. Because the way they're building this thing, when they get to the college football playoff, there's that narrative that's like kind of the soft Pac-12, and they're going to show up and get ran through by whatever SEC or Big Ten team they play. And that may be true historically, but the way Dan Lanning's building this thing, I don't expect that to be the case for these Ducks. I don't, especially long term. So I'm buying stock in Oregon. I'm buying stock in Dan Lanning. There's going to be a lot of teams, I believe, in the near future that are going to try and collect him as their head coach, quite frankly. But I'm telling you what, it sounds like he wants to be at Oregon, and I'm excited to see what he builds there long term. And I hope and pray that Oregon is able to keep him there so we get to all see it. But just to be clear, not predicting Dan Lanning goes anywhere else. I'm just saying you got a head coach that a lot of people are going to want. So good for you in Eugene. All right. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at JDPakel. Get in the comment section. Let us know what you think. What is Oregon going to finish on the 2023 season? Love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.